Get ready for Netflix's gripping new medical drama, Pulse. Set in a cutting-edge Miami trauma center, third-year resident Dr. Danny Sims is unexpectedly thrust into a promotion when beloved chief resident Dr. Xander Phillips gets suspended. Then, with the emotional and physical stakes at their highest, a storm will push the hospital and its residents to their limits. Witness how life can change in a heartbeat when you're operating under pressure. Watch Pulse, only on Netflix.
Welcome back to It's Just Coffee. I'm Kirk Pearson.
And I'm Sonam Sherpa.
And it's just coffee. Hey, you look a bit different this week. You're not the bloke that usually does this with me.
Yes, I am.
Okay, all right. Lost a bit of weight.
Yeah, maybe I'm not. It's a little bit different this time. Rowan's away, so I'm standing in. I'm the other half of Golden Brown. I've also got an illustrious career in coffee. Made a few cappuccinos, and here I am now.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, mate, it's still just coffee.
Oh, it's always been coffee.
It's still just coffee. But hey, we've got a few really good things on the docket for this week. And I mean, let's start off. Let's talk about the coffee that we're drinking. So what was this is a Golden Brown coffee.
This is a Golden Brown coffee. It's actually a Kenyan coffee we got from the Agutha factory. Our good friend Jamie Thompson was up in Sydney working with the guys at Condesa and managed to get a brick of it essentially. And we did a special Omni roast for it for an event that we actually had here in February with our water science. Pretty happy with how it went. And you know what? Still tasting pretty good.
Still tasting great. And we're drinking from these fancy schmancy cups. We had Hani Azat on a few weeks ago, and he told us about some of the cups he's developing. These are them, just arrived. So it's a knee wears cup. You can... You'll see. I'll try and get it on camera. So we've got a thick side and a thin side. So a bit of gastronomical science, if I can say it. Is that the correct terminology?
I'd say so, yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like you imagine wine. You're having Riesling from a certain glass and a red wine from a certain glass. You get a different experience out of both sides. So...
yeah, and good in the hand and great in the mouth. And can't ask for much more than that.
They look...
coffee we got from the Agutha factory. Our good friend Jamie Thompson was up in Sydney working with the guys at Condesa and managed to get a brick of it essentially. And we did a special Omni roast for it
Very, very good. So thick side, thin side.
Definitely elevates the experience.
Yeah, definitely elevates the experience. Scrumdiddlyumptious. But hey, let's get into some coffee news, hey?
You know what? I'm back on my coffee news. You hit me up. Tell me more. I'm in deficit.
Okay. Well, we spoke, I think, last week about the Australian barista champion, Jack Simpson, going back to back. Right?
Huge.
So Axel Coffee Roasters are serving said coffee in a kind of like a ticketed event. So you can actually, the consumer, can go and buy a ticket to this and try the Australian and future world barista champion, Jack Simpson's coffee, and there's a milk, there's an espresso, and there's a signature drink component, and they're doing that at Birdie in collaboration with Birdie in the city. So,
that's correct. Yeah, it came across my inbox and I was very wowed. I will be going, I believe. It's this Saturday.
This Saturday. All right. Well,
actually, it's next Saturday. Apologies.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, yeah. If you're interested, you should go check that out. Not really news, but the Australian dollar has been a little bit weak for a period of time.
Good for the farmers. Good for the farmers.
Good for the farmers.
In Australia.
Good for exporters. But not great for importers and specialty coffee roasters in Australia. Importers. So I was having a conversation with a high-ranking coffee official, let's just say, and he was explaining to me that really hurting right now because as long as the Australian dollar sits that low, the purchasing price, which is of course in US dollars, is it's not great. So essentially paying more for the same amount. So if the Australian dollar becomes more competitive, then we coffee roasters will make more money here and coffee consumers will get their goods slightly cheaper.
I actually had a good friend back in the day working as the green bean buyer for Proud Mary, and the currency exchange was such a big part of his job. And the way that he was dialed into it was amazing to watch. Looking back, like his phone screensaver was always dialed in with the green and the red lines and stuff like that. Obviously, made him way more important.
Yeah, it's like he's got long hair. I think I know the one you're talking about, and just constantly checking the polygon. That's
the indexes. The indexes.
I love it. Last little piece of news from me: DeLonghi has purchased a 41.2% stake of La Marzocco for a cool $374 million US. The Milan-listed DeLonghi will spend $374 million to acquire 41.2% of La Marzocco from DeLonghi Industrial, its parent company, as well as other minority shareholders, to create a hub of its existing Eversys coffee making machine operations. So Eversys being the super automatic brand of DeLonghi. Have you ever played around one of those?
I have. intelligent design, very intelligent design. And underneath the facade, if you open it up, the modularity of the internal components is pure artistry. The way it can be renovated, updated, and serviced is beautiful. And I don't really take much pride in the internal parts of an espresso machine or any machine, but that was one that I really, I was actually fawning over.
I've got a fair few coffee mega nerd friends that research these quite a lot and preach to me about them quite a lot, and they say great things. I've had a play around on one with before. It's pretty good. You can actually go to Coles, some Coles outlets, and
I've got one of mine.
Yeah, and get yourself a latte mate. So if you ever want to check out an Ephesus, I probably shouldn't be sending people there, but hey, you can try it out.
So just to go back, does that mean the perceived value of La Marzocco is 800 million US?
Yeah, probably.
Yes, it's over $1 billion Australian.
Yeah,
that's a lot of lattes.
Yeah,
that's a lot of lattes.
I'll tell you what, I thought it'd be more. To me, it's worth more, but
a legacy brand, I would have thought that would have counted for something as well.
Yeah, we love La Marzocco as well, don't we?
Yeah, I do. I have struggled to break from La Marzocco. I had a commercial machine back in the commercial days, and now I've got a La Marzocco Mini at home as well. I actually just updated to the Pico grinder, and may I just say, beautiful.
Probably chef's kiss.
Yeah, I would say the best domestic grinder, and we've touched a few.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Yep. All right. Well, love that. You heard it here first from Sonam. Sonam, we're going to switch up the order a little bit today with the way we're doing the podcast, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, me and my wife usually do this. It's a bit of role reversal tonight.
Oh, all right. That's a hot take. I like that. We are not cutting that out either.
Sorry, Claire.
All right.
No, I just thought, to get a bit more insight into you, Kirk, and what makes your wheels tick and what makes your beans grind, I thought let's ask you some questions. You're always the one throwing out the questions, trying to catch other people off guard, but today it's my turn.
Okay.
And you know what? I've always been of the opinion that the questions matter more than the answers.
Yeah, right. Well, your turn to ask the questions then.
Okay, well, let's take it back. Let's take it back to wee Kirk when he was just a young lad. He's just waltzed into Melbourne. What was your first job?
Well, I'll start off with a little bit of context here.
Yeah.
So I actually studied journalism.
Oh, really?
At university.
This makes sense now.
And so I was quite committed to being a journalist. I always wanted to be either a journalist or an economist. So
good industry.
I love economics, but so while I was studying, I actually worked as a kitchen hand, so washing dishes for a chef, and that's back in the day, like just on the going toward the last few years of like the crazy chef era, where chefs could sort of operate as tyrants and all those sorts of things.
Wage theft was the norm.
And a few dodgy deals going around, fry pans flying across the kitchen.
Yeah, I remember those. I remember those days.
But anyway, so my boss at the time, he offered to teach me how to make coffee, because the problem was that a lot of us uni students were working for him, but uni students are notoriously unreliable. So he was just thinking, I need someone that rocks up to work. Kirk, you're good for it. Kirk, would you like to learn how to make coffee? I thought, it beats working with this crazy chef. Sure.
And so was that the aha moment? Was that the moment you decided, you know what? I could take this further? Or did it get a bit further down the line before you're like, you know what? I'm going to open a cafe?
Well, I actually didn't drink coffee. Yeah.
Oh, there's a hot take.
So I actually didn't drink coffee. So I started trying it and I thought, geez, this is, it's okay, a bit bitter.
I feel anxious.
Yeah, anyway. But the problem is, when you first start to make coffee in Melbourne, a lot of the customers pick up that you're the new barista and I think, I don't want him making my coffee.
Oh,
and so some days they'll literally walk in, they'll look at you, see that you're making coffee, and walk straight back out. And so it was disheartening, Sonam.
Yeah, I've been a victim to this as well.
Yeah.
I've been a victim to
And so I decided, you know what, I like a challenge, and I really sort of knuckled down and decided I'm going to get better at making coffee.
What was the first coffee brand you worked with?
Like the roaster?
Yeah.
Veneziano coffee.
Oh, straight in.
So it was
pretty good.
It was a cafe called Miss Frank in Camberwell.
Ooh.
Still standing.
I mean, that's a good sign of the cafe.
Yeah. So
still serving vedettes?
No. New owner now, doing different things.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so that was my first start, and so during that time, I'd go to different cafes and try different coffees. Started reading the Barista Hustle blog post. He was just doing blogs back then, and that was kind of like my Bible. And then, so long story short, bounced around to a few different cafes, and I think it's good when you're first starting that you spend a year at different places. Not trying to make you disloyal to your business, but I really enjoyed going and working at a few different cafes, working with a few different coffees, and learning a few different styles.
Yeah, definitely. I think also the processes are completely different. Like you're going to get someone that's really heavy on, make as much money as possible, and then other people are like make it as fast as possible.
And it's different from a city cafe to a suburban cafe as well.
Oh yeah,
the experiences.
Yeah, also like how severely understaffed you are at either of those.
Yeah,
at any point.
So yeah, I mean, I just started working at a few different cafes, and I think my best sort of working for someone else on a coffee bar gig was when I was at St. Ali, because that is a place where you have to be able to make a lot of coffee. It needs to be made really well. And at the time, we had a few industry titans who have gone on to do great things as well. A few that we work with, so Jamie Thompson, Dan Dick, yeah.
Were you there for the Dobbers era as well?
I was there for the Dobbers era.
And Andy Hart?
Andy Herndon for a little bit. Yeah. So Andy Cooks, if you watch Andy Cooks, have you met Andy?
I have not met Andy. I would like to meet Andy. Please come by.
Yeah, no.
Let's do something.
Andy's a great guy, and so's Dobbers, and they've both been through a lot and overcome a lot and succeeded a lot.
So actually, bit of coffee news. Is it true that Dobbers just went to Indo to start the St. Ali barley?
That was a few. Oh, he might have just gone, but
he's just gone. Yeah.
Okay,
I just got that from a mutual friend. Just 2 days ago. So,
breaking news.
Well, turns out I did have some news.
Hey, I got some more breaking news. I think they're expanding into other countries.
Makes sense.
I don't know if they appreciate me really saying that, but anyhow, we said it anyway.
So also, let's just fast forward a little bit, and now you're starting the cafe, and you're starting it from scratch. So that's pretty hard. And you've also then got to turn it into a tangible business. So it's not just, hey, I put a coffee machine in a room, I've made it really pretty. You've actually got to then have patronage. You've also got to have branding. You've got to have all these different parts. What are the biggest challenges you've faced so far, and how'd you overcome them?
Yeah, so we opened a cafe, Project Zero Coffee, about a month ago now. It was 4 weeks yesterday.
Ooh, so congrats. Here's the anniversary.
Thank you.
Cheers. Great cup.
Tastes great. And so the challenges have come in thick and fast. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
First of which, I guess one of the initial challenges to open it was having enough money.
Budget. Budget's everything, yeah.
Barista wage, it's not conducive to investments, let's just say.
Yeah. Not in the cost of living crisis.
Not during that era. So I guess the biggest initial challenge was having the capital to be able to do it. So I was saving a little bit of money, working a sales job for mutual friends of ours. And so I was saving a little bit of money, but actually my mum passed away last year in February. And so she had been battling an illness, and she actually left me a bit of money, which kind of was the point where I was like, okay, I can do something. So while I was preparing to do that, I met a guy named Johan at a pop-up I was doing called Sub-Zero Coffee, and I think we were speaking for about 2 hours, and his wife and kids were sleeping in the car.
Just hit it off.
Hit it off big time, and I made him what he still calls to this day the best coffee of his life.
Oh, what a moment.
Yeah, so it was a good moment. But when we were talking, we were kind of talking about okay, well, these are the things that I think is wrong with the industry. And Johan actually comes from a tech background. So he's constantly finding solutions to weird little things. And so we just, from that very moment, we sort of exchanged details, and we decided, look, let's stay in contact just as friends. We'll mull over ideas. And I can't remember where exactly it happened, but we just decided, you know what? Let's work together.
Yeah, awesome.
And
I think the other thing with business partners is you don't need to be great friends straight from if you've got a similar outlook, or you know that you can work together, I think that's a really part of it as well.
Yeah.
In my instance with Rowan Golden Brown, we're really lucky. We were really good friends prior to anyway. But there's different ways that businesses can take shape. So how did you find the site? How did you go about that? How did you go about getting a lease?
Well, that was like almost year-long, maybe even 2-year-long process.
Whoa.
So we had the idea, and we wanted to do something that worked. But I think we were both of the mind that, for one, we need to find a space that can allow us to do what we want to do, and that is so important. If you put yourself in the middle of a desert wasteland, obviously you won't have a great customer experience. And Where I'm going with that analogy is you need to find the right spot.
Oh yeah, I would even hazard to suggest that perhaps 50% of the coffee game or even hospitality in general is just a real estate exercise.
Yeah, it is.
Like look at that cafe that you're talking about, still open. There's a reason it's still open. So it might just be the good spot.
Foot traffic. Close to other amenities, close to a train station.
Transport hubs are huge.
Yeah, and so will you be busy enough there on the weekend? Can you do both dine-in and take-away functionally? And so we're learning how to do that. So we found this place with a beautiful little alleyway.
Yeah, it's a great spot.
We got rejected from a whole bunch as well. So
really?
There was about 4 or 5 other sites that we applied for, and we thought we had one that we were just like all that was left to do was sign the dotted line, and then the landlord actually pulled out. So you find there's a few different challenges like that as well.
Oh man, that sucks. I mean, I'm glad you got the spot you did. I think it's an excellent spot, and I think it's really befitting that indoor, outdoor, and also the takeaway and also in-house situation that you're rolling with. And then just with the brand side of things, now you've got your cafe set up. How did you go about building the Project Zero brand?
Well, I mean, so Project Zero comes from, my other thing was called Sub-Zero, and I wanted to keep it somewhat related.
Smart.
And so, but what we're trying to do is make a cafe that is more efficient, so uses less coffee, makes the coffee quicker, but keeps the customer experience real. I think my greatest fear, and a lot of customers' greatest fear, is that you ended up getting your specialty coffee off a 7-Eleven machine that's like on steroids or something. And I never want to see that happen. I think one of the best elements about coffee is the human connection. So
it's paramount. Yeah.
And so we want to keep that human element inbound, but we also want to make our jobs easier. So we use a lot of technology that we don't really bother the customer with, but we use a lot of technology and analytics behind the scenes to help us do just that.
Oh, nice. Anything you can privy us to?
Yeah. So I would call this, I guess, a harmonious approach to machinery. So, say for example, we've got a grind by weight grinder. Grinds all the coffee to the exact weight that you need to a great standard. Then it goes through a puck press. Then it goes onto a La Marzocco machine that has scales inbuilt to it. So all these so you don't have to weigh things manually anymore. You don't have to tamp things manually anymore. You don't have to look at your shots and worry about whether they're exact or not anymore. And then we've got things like an Uva milk that steam the milk for us, and we're going to upgrade that to the new edition when that comes out. So, there's all these different little pieces of technology that eliminate old pieces of work that you had to do.
Yeah, so when the margin for error comes down, also the margin of time that you spend on the coffee comes down, and also that means more time for the customer.
Yeah. And we've also got a method of making coffee. I won't delve into too many.
No, that's your secret sauce. Your secret sauce.
But we actually can use less coffee to make more coffee. So
amazing.
We've got a goal to
sorcery
to use 30% less coffee than your average cafe. And this is where and that's not coming from a greedy point of view. It is so hard to make a buck out of a cafe, to make a buck in hospitality. The model is kind of broken. So we're trying to make these other little adjustments so that we can save money in areas to actually be a functional, profitable
There's
cafe.
a saying, every cent is a prisoner. You've got to lock that in. You can't let them go. It's tough. Wastage in particular is just one of those things that if it slips out of hand, it's just disgusting.
And then we're going into an era of, say, climate change, for example, where coffee might become more scarce than it is right now. And so I think as an industry, we need to learn how to use less. And so to make
extract more.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
So
I do love the flip on the classic old fashioned cafe. I was like, how many kilos you doing? How many kilos you doing? And you're like, we're actually doing 30 kilos less.
Yeah.
30% less, sorry.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So we're coming up with a model, and there's challenges around that. Everything seems so great on paper when it's an idea, but when you actually have to put it into practice, that's a whole different beast. And so the way we make coffee, we've had to work with our who roast for us. So we roast it ourselves, but we get some consulting on that. And so that's been a challenge as well. So that costs a little bit to do, but it's been a world-worthy endeavor, I'm pleased to say we're on the right track with that.
And I think it all adds to that unique selling point. If you've got that thing that no one else has, especially in the coffee industry, which is really, really saturated, that's a massive point for you.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So just also now that the cafe's running, tell me about it. How are you going? I mean, to give you some background, I've actually had a few cafes in the day, and that first month could not be any harder than anything I've ever done. I've had kids, and even that first month in the cafe is probably harder, to be honest.
It's been a unique experience, and unique in the sense that first week was quiet, and then the next week doubled, and then the next week doubled from that, and then this week's doubled from that.
Oh,
and it's like it's a great problem to have, but it's kind of like a perfect storm of circumstances that have contributed to it. So one of the ideas I had from the inception of Project Zero Coffee was elevating cold coffee. So and
big in the States, makes sense.
Big in the States, but I know we got the spicy takes coming later, but I personally think that cold brew largely is made badly.
Yeah, of course it is. It's disgusting.
And so what I wanted to do was, make a cold brew that everyone loves. That's no sugar, no syrup, no artificial, no garnishes like a dried orange peel in there, nothing. Just wanted to make a really good cold brew. And so we did. So we're using some special sort of fruit macerated coffees to do that.
Oh, yummy.
And much to my surprise, what's happened is some influencers have stumbled across the cafe. They've tried it. They've really liked it, and they've posted about it on this social media app called Red Book.
Red Book?
Red Book. And,
okay.
And so Red Book's like a Chinese social media app where people, it's like the Chinese Instagram, I guess,
awesome.
You could say. So what's happened is someone shared it on that, then more people have shared it, and it's been like this multiplier effect. So we make more cold brew than we do lattes at our shop, which is whack. Yeah, I know. More cold brew than lattes.
So how you make? I mean, obviously, don't give it away. But what's the method for the cold brew?
So we brew it hot. So I mean,
out of the Fetco.
Out of the Fetco. There's a few. We've got a special recipe.
Yeah, of course.
Because
No. That's yours.
I don't want anyone just being able to go and do this. But we use more expensive coffee.
Yep. That's a good point to start.
Yeah, we try and yield more out of it, like I was saying before. And then we also we also brew it hot, which is like most people say, oh yeah, brew cold brew, leave it in the fridge overnight.
TaxAct knows small business owners can sometimes use a little help with their taxes. That's why TaxAct has Expert Assist, a team of live tax experts ready to answer any questions you may have. Think of them as your own personal sidekick. Not like one of those funny talking animal sidekicks, more like the super smart nerding out on tax code and business casual attire sidekick, but just as helpful and lovable. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
I don't personally subscribe to that. I think you need hot water to properly extract coffee.
I 100% agree. Yep. And that's my biggest detractor on cold brew. I think it tastes like fridge.
Yeah. So we've got these coffees that first we had like a peach flavored coffee. So it was fruit macerated, so macerated with peaches, and the coffee actually absorbs the flavor of the fruit. So we brew it hot, chill it, do a few other secret little herbs and spices. No, not actually, but we have a method for brewing it. And then so we had this peach flavored cold brew that everyone's raving about. And so on a hot day, it's just like we couldn't keep up. So we had to sort of change our practices as a business, make sure we've brewed all the day before so it's ready to go for the morning. And then we need to, from the get-go, from the moment the doors open, we need to be making more.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's so much cold brew.
And it's more than half of our business.
What?
And so my experience as a business owner, which I feel like is pretty unique to me, is that we've just had this hero item that's
emerged.
And we thought, we're going to be making takeaway coffee, takeaway lattes and stuff real quick, and people are going to love it. And they do. But the cold brew has been the hero of what we're doing.
Context as well. It is summer. We've just come through a heat wave, so maybe that's had some impact in it. But I can't see it changing. To be honest. I think cold coffee is kind of the way that the modern consumer takes it.
But we're planning to sort of winterproof this idea as well. So we're actually going to get these same coffees that are really heavily of fruit flavor and blend them in certain ways and roast them for milk. So you can have a latte that tastes like strawberry or grapes or whatever, and it will taste heavily of those. So it's kind of like, you don't have to put a sugar in your coffee. You don't have to put a syrup in there, like an unhealthy alternative. You can just have these coffees, and it's great.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear. So also let's just dial it back a bit. Let's just look at your Monday to Friday, or you're currently doing Monday to Saturday. What's your average day look like? Obviously, a lot of cold brew in the morning.
Waking up at 4 a.m. So I'm naturally an early riser. I do it a lot, and I did before I opened the cafe. Nice. But I wake up at 4 a.m. pretty much every day. have some breakfast, walk to work. I get there at about 5:30, which is well before open. I'm just kind of in that concerned business owner phase where I was like, I get there half an hour in case of emergency.
Yep.
Which is coming handy, by the way. So definitely been a worthwhile thing to do. Dial in all the coffees. Thanks to the machinery, it's never too hard. And then get all the other things done that I need to get done. Set up the alleyway and all those sorts of things. And then service starts. And so staff members come in just before the shop opens. We set it up and we'll operate till 3. So we open 7 till 3. The whole time, the good planning and good preparation makes the service run really smoothly. And that's something we've really emphasized, and it's something we do during the day as well.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people looking to start a cafe only see the service side of things and go, wow, that looks amazing. He's having a great time, or she's having a great time. They're having a chat. Look at all the friends they've made. They must be so popular. But the reality is that's just, that's the dance. But there's a lot of training that goes into the dance, and there's a lot of stuff that goes around it to make it possible. So you finish service and it's about 3:30. What's next?
So we're closing the cafe, doing all the things, making sure the prep's done for the following day. But at the moment, I'm like a working day for me is minimum 12 hours.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that I'm in that sort of early phase of being a business owner and stuff like that. And there's just all these unexpected contingencies that you don't know you have to deal with. Like, a fridge isn't working properly, or like a machine isn't working the way you want it to. So you have to learn how to calibrate it. And, sometimes I feel like I have to hack into the Pentagon to work out to use these things. So
I think your brother just copped me trying to use a printer just before, and that was hard enough.
Yeah, the old Dennis Denuto.
I F4'd it. Don't worry about that.
So doing those sorts of things, and then managing inventory, and doing the accounting and the payroll. It's like what should you think? Oh, you're working from 6 till 4, quickly blows out to 6 till 6, and sometimes even more depending on what goes on.
Easily. I mean, also congrats.
Thank you.
To get through that first month, and also to get to that point where you can see the growth already, which I think, is kind of that silver lining. And it's also that, that edge of the horizon that you need to see, when you're like, yeah, it's going somewhere. This is what I want to do. I think one of the things that's really made your cafe stand out, not saying others haven't, but what has made it stand out is the experience that you offer. It's a beautiful space. The coffees are like elite, and they're across the board. You do a bit of water science as well, which I really appreciate. What do you think is your true value to a customer experience? Like, what makes it unique?
Well, I think we do all these things, right, that I've explained. So the machinery, and you just mentioned water science and all these things. But my goal is to never bother the customer with that. They don't need to know it. They don't. Then for whatever reason, they don't really need to care. So we do all this work to have coffee that gets made quickly to exacting standards, so that really the staff can do their job the best they can without having to worry.
Yep.
Which is a tough thing to do in hospitality.
Yeah, so you're saying like a hassle-free, consistent product at a really high standard.
Yeah, so sometimes I really feel like that we try and make the great experience for the customers, right? But I try and really make it a great experience for the staff too.
Yep. If they're happy, everyone is happy. Agreed.
And so they don't have to worry about all these other things that you would usually do at most cafes. I mean, there's still things that you have to do. You have to work hard.
Still have to polish cutlery.
And when it gets busy, it gets busy. But a lot of the equipment and the technology is there, and the methods are there to really just focus on making sure that the best experience is there for the customer. So one thing that we've embraced, for example, is we sample a lot. So a lot of customers come in, and while they wait, it's like, would you like a sample of this batch brew that I can instantly give you? And it's like, okay, well, that's different. And that coffee tastes great as well. I might try that next time. Been great for us.
Yeah.
With the cold brew, I think that was like, we mistakenly gave it to a blogger, and they're like, oh, this is great. And they've gone on to post it on Redbook sort of thing.
Amazing.
So these sampling of things, it's been fundamental to what we do, and kind of just getting our customers curious about other coffees than just a latte.
Also, they'll never know if they don't try it.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah. If you're on autopilot, and it's, let's just say it's 7 a.m., you're on autopilot, or 7:30 you open, 7:30 you're on autopilot. You're just ordering what you normally order. You're not thinking about it. And then someone comes up with another alternative, which is faster and more convenient and delicious.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of customers,
yes, please.
A lot of customers have been given the circumstances where it's like a necessity to be a low altitude flyer when you drink your coffee. And what I mean by that is, like, you might order a strong coffee because you get so much coffee made weak. You might get an almond latte because you want something low calorie, but you don't want to have a black coffee because it tastes bad. So like for example, if you want to have like a really good experience with a coffee in the morning that tastes great, but a bit better for the diet, get a batch brew.
Oh yeah, definitely.
99% of the time we make it better. And so like opening people's horizons to that, it has been like a really enlightening and great thing for us too.
I actually had a great conversation with Jamie Thompson the other day he said that the batch brew is actually the point where automation really came into coffee and really nailed it. I think it's like it's seamless, it's delicious, and it's also able to do on scale, which I think is really important. And for your business, it sounds like it's probably a good way to push it.
Yeah, and knowing how to make it well as well is like a really important thing.
People struggle with that.
You were talking about water science before. One of the best things you can do with batch brew, one of the biggest hacks you can do to make it tastier, just keep your equipment clean. Because
how often would you clean it?
Every day.
Every day, and with a solution, a cleaning solution.
So like it's the pots that I mean. So like the pots that you press it down in, like keeping those clean and learning how to clean them properly. So you can put cafetto in there with boiling hot water and then steam it with your steam wand, and that'll agitate the oils and stuff on the side of the wall.
This is a great tip for anybody out there. This is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I've never heard this one.
And purge it out through the rods so that gets cleaned as well. Just thorough cleaning of your gear makes it so much better.
It makes so much sense.
Yeah, and refreshing it as well. So you don't have the same batch brew that you made in the morning that's there in the
6 hours
afternoon.
later.
You don't want the 6 hour ferment. So
no one needs the stank.
So keeping it fresh. And I mean, sometimes you do have to chuck some out, but it's a worthy investment for.
Can you utilize it?
Well, some of it, yeah. Like I think we got to the point now where
you don't need to.
One way we do it is like, all right, well, I mean, if we can't make money off this, then at least someone can enjoy it. Sampling. And so it gives customers an experience with that as well. Or you because you've been doing the effort with sampling, more people are buying it now.
Yep.
So
outward sales, it makes sense. You've got them there. Get them to try it.
So batch brew sales have been great for us.
So obviously, everyone's got a bigger picture in mind. Everyone's looking to be the next big thing. What's next for you? What's next for the brand? What's next for the cafe and for yourself?
Well, I think an important thing of this is having a why. You don't get into this industry for money, and I'm not in this to make gratuitous amounts of money. I hope I do one day, but it's
we all do.
Yeah, but for us, my business partner Johan and I, we wanted to rethink the way that coffee is made, and I think so much of this industry is like following what people have done before you, and we're kind of just. I like Johan because he's not worked in coffee, and because he comes from a different industry that's tech, and they take a pretty brutal approach to things sometimes, and almost deconstruct things and reconstruct them better.
A lot of ones and zeros. It makes sense.
Yeah. And so having him help me do this with coffee, and I've had some ideas that I've never really had support from a workplace to implement. And so, it's kind of an interesting thing to be able to put my own money where my mouth is and go into business and do that.
So it's an amazing crossover, really.
It is. But I guess where to from here with it? I guess we just want to build this store into something that is so universally enjoyable for everyone. Not everyone's going to love us. We get that. And, we still get plenty of people walk past us to go to other coffee shops. But I think we're onto something good with unique products like the cold brew and things like that. And I really want to grow that and expand it to more people. And hopefully we can open another store one day when this repeatable process is just so there for people to come in. And I hope that staff come to us wanting to work with us just as much.
It's a good feeling, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's when you know that, because it's a tough industry, and you got to have the right owner and the right manager to really want to do it and succeed. So I think we want to build these shops where it's such a palatable thing for customers, but equally staff as well. And I think that's the culture that we want to set and expand that, and just build these businesses that run off less and make more.
Oh, amazing. And I think that's something that maybe a lot of other people could look at. Once you've got a year in it, you've got a bit of a proof point. It'd be nice for people across the industry to even audit themselves and just be like, are we giving too much? Like, why are we giving so much? Like, even just like you go to restaurants and you see half the plates are not even finished. It's just sad.
Yeah. I had a bit of a good experience when I had Sub-Zero coffee, and it kind of like, I wasn't the first to do it, freezing coffee, but I feel like I really helped popularize that for people.
Mate, you are Mr. Coffee Freeze, yeah.
Well, thank you. But
which you're retiring, is that right?
Yeah, partially. But I like that. Defrosting, but thawing.
Thawing, that's right.
But, I feel like what I would love to do is make a wave in questioning why we do things the way we do.
Yep.
And I'm going to fail a lot. I have failed a lot, and I'll continue to fail a lot. But, it's those little nuggets of success that are the ones that matter. You're going to fail so much more than you succeed on certain things. And we experiment a lot, and they don't always work. But it's when you find out the way to make it work, that's kind of the joy in it all.
So we're looking for a Kirk Pearson method trademark. Is that what we're looking for?
No, I mean,
it could be.
Maybe. But no, I think, we're quite, coming to our shop is kind of like you're a customer, but it's also like a free barista lesson.
Yeah, amazing.
If we're not busy, you're welcome to come behind the bar and see exactly what we do. It's like, and we will teach you what we do. We'll give you a quick little, we've had people that have come in that have been architects. They're like, oh, I want to learn how to make coffee better at home. Oh, quickly jump in, I'll show you how.
Sometimes you don't want to see how the sausage is made, but when you're doing it at your caliber, I think it's fine.
Oh, thank you.
Well, this segues beautifully into, I've got a few rapid fire questions for you. Maybe look gun barrel down that camera. Mm-hmm. I'm going to hit you with some powerful ones. Mm-hmm. What 3 things would you tell someone looking to start a cafe?
Prepare to devote your life to it. If it's not you, it'll be someone else. And I feel like it's really good. So I've got the situation where Johan and I are business partners, and pretty much I'm in the cafe every day. And we open 6 days. That one Sunday is my Sabbath. It's awesome. But you're going to have to put in so much time into it. And I saw a quote on Instagram. I can't remember who said it the other day, but basically it was saying about a business investment, it will always take twice as long to accomplish, and it will cost twice as much as you think it will.
Oh, yeah.
And that is 100% true. So,
and it's a big part of it. You got to enjoy that process.
Yeah.
If you don't enjoy that process, you probably shouldn't be in business, because you're in there for a while.
I love what I do, and I've got a lot of support from good people as well. But which segues into my next thing is make sure you've got some money saved, because you need to have some money in the bank for
birthdays.
Birthdays, but just being able to keep yourself alive. And you've got business expenses, but you've got personal expenses as well.
Yeah, so, and you got to pay your staff. Like that's a non-negotiable pay rate.
You got to pay everyone: suppliers, builders, staff, everyone. So I mean, make sure you budget accordingly.
I don't want to overstep here, but what happens as the business gets a bit older? Like, that first business is really hard, but the second business is a bit easier because you've built up those relationships with those suppliers. You can pull out a bit of a longer credit turnaround. So when you go to open the second one, you might get 30 days, 90 days. So you can get a bit of a buffer there.
Maybe.
So the first business is, you got to make that first domino fall.
But I was having a conversation with my brother the other week, and I was saying to him, sometimes it's good to treat your suppliers as if they're customers.
Oh, yeah.
Because your rep or your sales guy, they'll work so much harder for you if you're not giving them a hard time. Speak to them respectfully, and they will work harder for you as well.
Oh, yeah.
But last point, I guess would say number 3 would do your research. We really had to experiment, like I said before. We really had to look in a certain zone where it wouldn't be too saturated, and also, don't say yes to the first thing that comes up. So with the sites we were talking about earlier, we got offered plenty of sites as well, but we just thought, not the right fit. So do your research and don't say yes to everything would be my final point.
Yeah, awesome. Now we look at the customer side of things. What surprised you most about the modern consumer?
I think the modern consumer, and I had a very skeptical view about this before I started the cafe, which has flipped really quickly. They're very sophisticated and open to change, a lot more than I thought they would be. So Melbourne coffee or Melbourne baristas have earned themselves a reputation of being, or the industry's kind of got a reputation of being snobby.
Oh, yeah, terribly so.
And I get that. But, if you approach people the right way and, you don't bother them, you don't pester them, and offer them a sample, for example. Like it's been a wonderful thing, and I think a lot of customers have changed what they drink since they've had a coffee at our store, and it opens their horizons, and it's that trust. But really, people are so much more open-minded about coffee than I kind of thought was possible.
So that's probably in some part to the average coffee IQ being higher now?
Yeah, the average coffee IQ, I think, as well, like the baristas are, in a lot of ways, getting better at sort of communicating these things as well. And the industry is getting a little bit better at communicating these things. But yeah, coffee IQ, people are a lot better. There's good blogs, good resources these days, good golden brown coffee pages.
Yeah, plenty of Instagram pages these days, aren't there? So what are the 3 non-negotiables in your cafe?
good vibes.
Yep.
Good coffee.
Perfect.
And really a commitment to being your best. So, I mean, obviously the good coffee is non-negotiable. The good vibes is non-negotiable. I think a level of curiosity among the staff as well is, I don't really want to hire people that don't want to get better at what they're doing.
No.
So it's just a basic non-negotiable for me, and it's been awesome to have that.
I think there's nothing worse when you get into a venue and the vibe is off. I think we've all been there, haven't you? You take 2 steps in and you're like, shit, I hope he doesn't see me walking out.
Yeah.
And then you try and order something that's off menu. So you go, I'll have to go somewhere else. Sorry. There's obviously a lot of things in the cafe you can see. There's a lot of machines you can spec. There's all that sort of stuff. But what are the intangibles that define your cafe?
I think, like I said before, having a bit of a why was, anyone can open a cafe, well, relatively speaking. A lot of people can go and open a cafe, but having a reason for existing other than just wanting to do a bacon and egg roll and, a latte combo for $7 is, for us, we want to make a difference and develop new things. I think that's part of it, but being curious about what you're doing, wanting to have better coffees, the job will never be done for us. We'll never be good enough. So just constant improvement and recognizing
That's amazing. That's so good. That's so good to have that self-awareness. And it's such a young part of your business. I think maybe those pop-ups really helped you as well.
Yeah.
I think with the way, if you've ever been to a Sub-Zero pop-up, it's amazing the way those things are run. It feels like an expo, but it also feels like you're in someone's lounge room almost. I mean, not lounge room, kitchen. And then you get these amazing coffees from all over the world that have been frozen and then ready to prepare. And, they're spitting off words and they're spitting off coffees and people that competed with this, they did that. And you're just getting this amazing amount of knowledge and then also you're getting the sensory effect with it as well. So, we tie so much into sensory things into our memory, and you've done that so well.
Thank you. But and the curiosity and those things is so important.
Yeah. So I guess, what's the opposite of cold brew? Hot brew.
Hot brew, yeah.
Is it hot in here?
Oh,
is it hot? Are you guys getting hot? Is that me?
As a matter of fact, I am getting kind of sweaty.
Yeah. Well, I might take a couple of buttons down.
Okay. Well, I haven't got buttons, but...
what's your hot take? What's your extra hot take with 2 sugars this week?
Extra hot take with 2 sugars is... decaf's in.
What?
Decaf's in. I love decaf. And we should not be hating on decaf lovers. No death to decaf. Embrace the decaf.
I'm in shock.
Yeah. Okay. So
what's your decaf?
Okay. Well, there's a couple of different ways we can go about this, Sonam. Okay. So I'll pretext this with my dad, dear old dad, just switched to decaf. Heart's getting a bit, fast in his older age, and so he switched to decaf, and I kind of thought, him switching to decaf made me think, that's personal to me. I want to make this product better, but also there's some really yummy stuff, and it's if people are paying money for it, and then you don't need to shame them for choosing that. There's a reason, and also there's some really yummy stuff out there. I'm not just pulling your leg. There's some really yummy stuff. You can get coffees and made into decaf. There's even varieties of coffee that are low in caffeine that taste amazing. So the caffeine actually has like a compound that you perceive as bitterness when you drink it.
That's right.
So
I think Australian coffee is 30% lower quantity of caffeine as well, which makes it less bitter.
Perhaps, or Arabica coffee, so Robusta probably likely more. I don't know that for sure, but seems legit. But there's a certain brand, for example, called variety called Lorena. So
Lorena?
Yeah, Lorena. So I was in Brazil a few years ago and I watched the World Brewers Cup champion win using a Lorena coffee. And one of her big things she said was like, this has like next to no caffeine, and it will be, and because of that, it will have a lot less bitterness. So it'll actually taste really good. So decaf's in. I'm all about decaf. That's my extra hot take with 2 sugars. Have you got one?
I do. My extra hot take with 2 sugars this week is it's time for Australian coffee. We're doing it. Ron and I are flying up next week to Byron to go visit a farm. We're going to do it. We're going to put it on a pedestal. We're going to find out what it is. We're going to find out what it can be. And we're going to work with the farmers over the next couple of years, and we're going to try and get the best possible. I mean, they're already doing an amazing job, but we want to try and put something out there that maybe you could use in a cold brew one day.
Wow. That is a spicy take. But
it is.
Yeah, I think we can do it. Where is the farm?
It's in the hinterland of Byron. It's owned by the Zentfeld family. Beautiful farm. They preference soil health over everything else. Really well taken care of. No pesticides. Organic. One of the roasters there is actually the head of the Roasting Association of Australia as well. So there's a lot of credit there.
Yeah. Okay. While you're in Byron, you can get your chakras aligned as well.
Always.
Okay. I thought that landed a little bit better than it did. But
yeah, I mean it's hard because my chakras are usually pretty good.
Yeah.
No, I think while we're up there, we'll definitely go and sample some of the beautiful food up there, and we'll also hit the beach.
Yeah. Okay.
Try and get a bit browner.
Yeah. Or Rowan needs a tan, so.
He's in Adelaide this week, and it's been scorching hot there. So let's see. Hopefully, he comes back with a tan.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see.
Cool.
Yeah. On to you.
On to me. Well, I guess thank you for having me, first of all. And also, thank you for all those amazing answers. I think hopefully if anybody's listening to this that's actually looking at starting a cafe, maybe reach out to Kirk because he's a great guy and he's really honest and he'll also give you direct feedback. I think from my experiences in the cafe industry, it's very hard. And if your heart's not in it, don't waste your time. You're just going to hate it even more and it's going to wear you down. But if your heart's in it and you love it, like Kirk obviously does, I think this podcast is a great place to start.
Yeah, no, and thanks so much for having us on, and you facilitate a lot of this happening as well with Rowan. You're not the camera guy, but you make a lot of this all happen. So,
look, it's the same thing we said about the service is the big dance. You got to have a lot of other stuff to make the dance happen.
I'll tell you what, you got a good voice for radio though. So
do I?
Yeah,
face for it too.
Yeah, very good, very good. But hey, so good to do this with you today. Thank you to you. Thank you to Rowan. Thank you to Knee Wears for the cups as well. We love you. And once again, everyone, it's just coffee.
Can we do that one more time? I missed it.
Okay. Once again, everyone,
it's just coffee.
All right.
One more time.
We'll do 3, 2, 1, then we'll go. 3, 2, 1. It's just coffee. I feel like we got that. Cheers. Bang.
Thanks, Kirk.